Hey YouTubers, I am back with another lens review today, or I guess it's a review. It's a comparison, it's a update, it's a general discussion of lenses. Little more technical than a lot of my other ones, but also still just kind of me playing around with for my own sanity to see kind of some of the differences in my kit. So. Since the last video on the Rokinon SPs that I did get the 50mm, which is the newest one that just came out. It is also an f1.2, just like the 85mm. Both pretty big, chunky lenses. In fact, the 50 is a little bit taller, longer, however you want to say it. But it should be the same diameter. I'm a big fan of these lenses. The f1.2 was kind of the selling point for me, as was the notion these are basically Rokinon's Sigma arts. Level-wise, that was a weird way to say it. These are comparable in quality to the Sigma arts, and I'm going to prove that with this video a little bit. So it used to be the Rokinon Cine DS were kind of good value lenses, a lot of bang for the buck. Not quite the quality of the Sigma arts. If you followed my channel, I've gone from full kit of Rokinon Cine DS lenses, which is what we shot our movie Clowns and Robbers with, which is coming out next week. And it looks great, and I've got no grudge with those lenses. We had a full kit of primes and shot 90% of the movie with those lenses. And since then, I switched over to Sigma arts. I started with the zoom lenses, the 18 to 35 and the 50 to 100mm, which are both extremely popular video lenses. They've also transitioned into their Cine line with those same lenses adapted for cinema use. These are very popular lenses. They're also cropped lenses. They're not full frame lenses. So initially I sold the 18 to 35 because it was not covering my weapon sensor completely at 18mm, and I wanted it to. Or if I was going to have a wide zoom, you want to be able to zoom out and not have to crop in on the sensor or the resolution. So I got rid of that one pretty quickly and talked about that, but I held on to the 50 to 100 zoom for a long time. That was kind of my all-around, long lens for different uses. If I needed anything from 50 to 100, that was what I'd put on. Those lenses are notable because they're f1.8 lenses, and they're very popular. The 50 to 100 does have breathing, which is well documented. I don't need to go into here. But I was looking for a way to buy this 50mm prime, and it predictably went on sale on B&H to $750. Like within a month of it initially launching at $1,000. Same price I bought the 85 at, and the 14 I think too. Were both around $750 on sale. So just to know, that's kind of the true value of these is about $750, because that's what they go on sale for pretty quickly. And so I sold my 50 to 100 for $700 on eBay. So I got this bad boy for just 50 bucks. And then the other benefit is these are they're primes. Which they're bigger, a little sharper, a little nicer, but they're also full frame and f1.2. And I think all that adds up to there's just a little more things you can do with them. You get a little shallower depth of field. They work on more cameras. I think generally speaking, and this is a pretty big generalization, so take it with a grain of salt, but my experience is the full frame lenses tend to be a little sharper and look a little nicer. Case in point is this Sigma 24 to 35mm lens, which I've had, I want to say, over a year now. This is my rock star lens. I use this lens for everything. Nobody talks about this lens ever. I don't know if I've ever met or seen another filmmaker shooting with the 24 to 35. I think a lot of people were turned off by the weird focal length. 24 to 35 is kind of a strange focal length. You could just get, 2 primes. It's not much of a zoom range. It's f2, so it's fairly fast. It's not quite the f1.8 of the other Sigma zooms, but this is full frame, and it just looks It looks amazing. It's the lens that just kind of subconsciously, I like to shoot a little wide. I like, 24 to 35 is a great range for me. That's where I probably shoot 75% of my stuff at that range. It's a great walking around lens, a great run and gun. We do a lot of documentary stuff, or this is the great lens to pop on for that. Maybe you need a little zoom for a little close up or something. But when you see like our faces videos, when we're like walking around doing some handheld stuff, following people around, this is what I always use. It's got nice wide rings on it. It's really easy to zoom and to focus. The focus throw still is, for a still lens, it's not at the super long focus throw of these lenses, which do have a great long focus throw. But it's perfectly usable handheld for me, and the images are just always dynamite. I really love how this looks. And then the other thing is the lens I'm shooting this on right now, which is the Sigma 24-70 Art f2.8, which is a long demanded lens. I'll hold the lens cap up because that's all I got for reference. 24 to 70 millimeter lenses are pretty popular. They're kind of the perfect walking around lens that gets you wide and fairly close. They're great for, I don't know if I could blanketly say they're great for film, but if you do a lot of documentary or running gun stuff and you're not in a situation where you can swap lenses quickly, the 24 to 70 is kind of the only option. So now, like when we do stuff like our backyard bayou videos, where we're kind of going in a lot of places where we haven't scouted or don't know kind of what we're walking into, 90% of the time I'll have this 24 to 70 on there, and that kind of gets me through. When the priority of your shoot is more of be open to anything that could happen, 24 to 70 is a great range. It's a relatively new lens. It came out last year, I think. I don't see a lot of people shooting with it. I don't know why. I imagine a lot of still photographers probably are using it. My main complaint, and I guess I should swap lenses to explain this. I'm going to do that. Hold on just a second. My main complaint with this lens, and the results are great. The image quality is great, but it's a little hard to focus. This thin ring, if you can see it here, the smaller of the two rings, is the focus ring. It's super close to the zoom ring and also just really small, and the focus travel is really small. It's definitely designed to be more of a autofocus lens. Pull and focus on this thing is a pain. And for some reason, I don't know what it is a very sharp lens. It looks great, but I have a lot of trouble. Of all my lenses, this is the one I have the most trouble focusing with, just in terms of like nailing perfect focus. Something about it, I guess because it's f2.8, so it's not super shallow. It's just hard to see, even on the 7-inch red monitor, it can be hard to see the fine kind of focus changes. So occasionally, I'd say like 1 out of 10 shots I shoot with this, when I get in post, I'm a little mad at myself for not, finding the focus a little more perfectly. It'll look and focus on camera, but it's not quite. That's just sort of an experience thing. I'm not sure what to really say is the cause of that. Maybe it's just the focal length and everything to blame. But for whatever reason, I have the most trouble getting consistent, great focus with this lens. And the wheel certainly doesn't help. But the trade-off is you get a great long zoom range. So, I tend to just stop down a little more, 5.6 or higher to make sure everything's roughly in focus. But yeah, otherwise it's a great lens, and I would say comparable to Sigma's best qualities glass. But something about it just isn't quite the wow factor to me, that 24 to 35. And maybe that's just the difference of the f2 to the f2.8. I don't know. I just want to chime in that I do have this lens. I use it a lot. It's a great functional lens for certain situations. So obviously the f1.2 is a very special sort of function. Creates a very specific kind of shot. It's a very hard shot to have any movement in because of the shallow focus plane. But it creates a great artsy effect. Lets a lot of light in if you're in a really dark place. And overall the images are just killer sharp. So I haven't color corrected any of this, but I did have to compensate the ISO and the shutter speed a little to try to get similar exposures as I stopped down the lenses. But I did that all while shooting in camera. I've done no color work on these shots. The only characteristic I think worth pointing out on the Rokinons is maybe a negative, is that they do seem in general to have that greenish tint that Rokinons have kind of historically been known to have, at least when compared to the Sigmas that I have on hand. So, not a big deal when shooting raw with red footage, but just something to note that greenish tint still seems to be there. So anyway, that's it. That's me just kind of going through my kit now. I don't know what I'm going to title this video, but my why I'm switching from Rokinon to Sigma video has been very successful, so I might do some sort of clickbait title like that. Why I'm switching back to Rokinon, or why I'm using both Sigmas and Rokinons. Point is, it doesn't matter too much. I think people do spend too much time thinking about lenses, and I admittedly fall into that trap sometimes when you're just scrolling through YouTube or B&H and looking at what's available and what's out there. The main thing for me with these Rokinon primes was just about getting that f1.2 aperture. It just opens up some new possibilities of shots in my kit that I lost since I got rid of my Rokinon Cine DS lenses. But arguably, I could have just bought some more of those too, probably, and been similar territory. But I think if I was able to do a direct comparison between the Cine DSs and these SP lenses, I think you would definitely see an improvement in sharpness. All of this is shot at 8K on a red weapon, so it's about as good of a sensor as you could throw these in front of. They feel better, they're bigger, they look better, and fairly confident saying that they're pretty even Steven with the Sigma Arts. Definitely the full frame zooms that I'm using rather than the crop zooms that are a lot more popular. I feel confident saying it's a pretty even comparison between those. Main difference is you're getting that extra room at the bottom at f1.2. So if that's not important to you, then there's not really a reason to get these, unless you're upgrading from the Cine DS lenses. Then these are basically the logical step up from those if you'd rather stay with the Rokinon brand and not switch over to the Sigma Arts. So that's my consensus. I wish there was a 35mm Rokinon SP that I could look at, because that's definitely my sweet spot for a lens. But I have a feeling it'll look fairly similar to my 24 to 35 zoom, but it'll just be a little faster. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you got any questions, feel free to comment. Please like or subscribe. I'll try to keep these reviews coming as often as I have new things to talk about. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.